What does it mean for God to descend into hell? Okay. Well, I want to give you a couple of images here. And I want you to hold them into your mind as kind of frames, and then later on we'll bring them together and run them through a blender, and hopefully you'll get some of the power of what it means to descend into hell. And they're strong examples. Some years ago, some family friends of mine had a 19-year-old daughter going to college. And she was away at a college. She attempted suicide. Been an emotionally disturbed young woman. They flew her home, and for about 3 months, the family rallied around her. They got her the best psychiatric help they could afford. They got her the best medical help. The mother quit work. They stayed home. They rallied around this young woman. And it didn't help. 3 months later, she killed herself. She had reached a stage in which all the medicine, psychiatry, and love on this side of the planet couldn't reach through. She was in a private hell somewhere where nobody could get into, and she ended up killing herself. Freeze that frame, go to the next frame. Very famous painting, which many variations to it, but the original, if you're ever in St. Paul's Cathedral, the Anglican Episcopalian Cathedral in London, England, go and see, the original's there. A painting by Holman Hunt, and it's called The Christ Who Knocks. And you're all familiar with that. My mother used to give us a holy card with that on. You've all seen variations of this picture. Very famous picture. And it shows a man who's huddled inside of a room. Obviously he's in some depressed state. And outside, Jesus is standing with a lantern, and he's knocking on the door, but there's only a knob on the inside. You get the picture? See, there's only a knob on the inside. Like if Jesus is knocking, Jesus would like to come in, but you got to open the door. See, if you don't open the door, Jesus can't come in. Okay. Now, actually, Holman Hunt's painting is more sophisticated than that, but the rip-offs of it always have the knob on the inside. Okay. Now, freeze that, go to frame 3. Read John 20, and it happens twice. On the morning of the resurrection, John said, the disciples, which means at that time the whole church, the disciples were in a room with locked doors, huddled in fear. Jesus came right through the locked doors, stood in the middle, breathed out, the Ruach of Yahweh. Remember, that's the way Scripture opens. In the beginning, there was a formless void, chaos, and God breathed out. And then he said, let there be light. So Jesus stands in the middle of their fear, and he breathes out peace, and he says twice, peace be with you. I say it again, peace be with you. And then 10 days later, they're back in the same room. They didn't get it the first time. Had to repeat the experiment. They're again huddled in fear. Jesus comes through the locked door, stands in the middle, breathes out peace. Now, let's put those 3 frames together. That young woman who committed suicide, she had reached a stage in her life where no human being could penetrate inside of her anymore, inside of her depression. She was in a private hell. That's what hell means. Okay? We can't get there anymore. Psychiatry can't get there anymore. Medicine can't get there anymore, but God can get there. See, that's God enters. When this woman woke up on the other side, God was standing inside the huddled fear, saying, peace be with you. See, the painting the takeoff paintings in Holman Hunt, that's not good theology. Christ is knocking at that door. You got to open it up. No. There are times in our lives, in all of our lives, where we don't have power to open the door anymore. Christ has to come through and Christ can come through locked doors. See, that's where the love of God, the unconditional love of God, is different than our unconditional love. See, we can't go through locked doors. This young girl's parents, they couldn't get through that door. God can get through that door. See, that's what's revealed in the cross. The cross takes Jesus into hell. It takes God into hell. Okay. That's the basic revelation of the cross. That's why it's the ultimate symbol of love. And it's also the most consoling thing in the entire world. I've studied world religions, although I haven't studied them deeply the way I've studied Christianity. But in all religion, you won't find a doctrine of this kind of consolation. See, if you study Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, so on, in the end, those are wonderful religions. And they have some wonderful discipleship precepts and so on. But in the end, God can't come through a locked door and get you. In the end, you're still going to have to do it. In Christianity, when you can't do it, God will do it for you. And even when you put yourself into hell, God doesn't abandon you in hell.